And in Ottawa, the new federal Conservative leader has unveiled what he calls a government in waiting. Erin O'Toole has chosen the MPs who will form the party's shadow cabinet. Former leader Andrew Scheer has made the cut. The question is, what will Erin O'Toole offer Canadians in terms of leadership and policies that is different from Scheer and that will get the Conservatives elected in the next federal election? Speculation about a possible fall election is still flying around Ottawa. Mercedes Stephenson, our Ottawa bureau chief, is with me. Mercedes, start with Erin O'Toole's team and his strategy.
Well, Donna, as you know, in anything, but especially in politics, having the right people in the right places is so important for the Conservatives as they try to give themselves a pre-election makeover, hoping to make themselves more appealing to voters. You mentioned that former leader Andrew Scheer managed to stay on. He got a pretty high-profile portfolio that will be key in the pandemic recovery, and that's infrastructure. That will also see him facing off against Catherine McKenna. A couple of other key names on the list that our viewers will likely recognize. Pierre Poilievre stays on as the finance critic. He's been a strong voice for the opposition, leading the charge on the WE controversy. Michelle Rempel-Garner also in there. She'd been shut out by the Scheer camp. She's back now, resurging into the high-profile health portfolio, which obviously will be very important during this pandemic. And Erin O'Toole himself takes on the role of middle-class prosperity, which sends you a signal. Now, Conservative sources say the new leader is already trying to plot out a very different tone and vision for the Conservative Party, one that they hope will make it hard for the Liberals to pigeonhole them as going into austerity during a pandemic. O'Toole is already pushing a new message, one focused on helping Labour and holding big corporations accountable, a very different sort of message than we heard from the Conservative Party before, and a sign that they are preparing to broaden the tent, as the polls say they must do to win, especially in Ontario.
Mercedes, I think only the Bloc Québécois said they want a fall election. I think that's right. So why are people still talking about it as a possibility?
Well, that's a great question, Donna, because it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy at some point, and that is the concern of some of us who cover politics here in Ottawa. But while we only have the Bloc Québécois saying they definitely want one, you're seeing a lot of people hedging bets. The government has to really balance here, finding opportunity without seeming opportunist for some of the more drastic changes that they're wanting to make. Take a listen to this.
You're not wanting to be seen as trying to use this for a great political experiment, but as a time to perhaps introduce something that is actually going to improve the lives of Canadians. Canadians aren't going to have a lot of patience.
Sometimes the devil is in the details, and while the NDP is likely to support the government on some of those big ticket programs, Donna, the question will be how they're implemented, as NDP strategist Carl Bélanger told us today.
The key will be how to implement those things and when and how fast and with how much money. And those are the details that often, bring down governments, because if words are not followed by action, you are in for some trouble.
And Donna, we'll see if there'll be a choice between two solitudes here in the potential coming election for Canadians. As we continue to talk about it, still no end in sight for that speculation. Donna?
Okay, well, I long for the speculation to end. But anyway, thanks, Mercedes. Appreciate that.